There's something bugging me about Bitcoin. You know, we've all got this hype about the ETF. That's cool and all that. The same guy that's introducing the ETF, that'll be good old Larry Fink, not long ago was saying that cryptocurrency was pretty much a money laundering system. Now he's getting ready to push approximately or expose Bitcoin to around $15 trillion worth of investors' money. That's good news for Bitcoin. There's your price projection, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin to the moon and all that madness. Something's bugging me. Bitcoin hasn't been doing much lately. I've moved more than what Bitcoin has done. The thing that's playing on my mind is the fact that if this ETF is going to get rolled out, the same people that are in the belief that the ETF is going to bring a lot of liquidity, which it will, there's no denying that. And Bitcoin will transcend to the highs. You know, there will be all-time highs again in Bitcoin because naturally that's what happens. But what's he going to do before that? You see, what you've got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is the market ain't that simple. Right now, we've got people holding on to Bitcoin with the hope and the desire that this ETF is going to get rolled out just like that. And in today's live, I'm going to break it all down for you. We've got some flavor by Bitcoin right now, and it's still holding this 29.8 zone. We're going to dive into what, in my opinion, I believe will be happening next with Bitcoin. We're heading close towards a video that I spoke about not so long ago about a market crash theory. I'm going to be diving into that very, very shortly. So, if you are new to the channel and you're enjoying the flavor, I'm hoping to bring you some yoga flame. You like that one? Let's get with the charts, man. Here we go. So, mad love to everyone passing through. We've got Bitcoin on the 8-hour time frame. The reason it's the 8 hour is just because I selected the 8 hour. No mysteriousness about it. What's Bitcoin doing? By the principle of a hybrid system that we all use, and if you haven't downloaded it, go to TradingView, download it, it's free of charge. The logic says that Bitcoin is going to come and test these vector candles. That's what the hybrid system says. Now, if you only go back into the charts, you will see that for every green vector candle that you see close by, it's going to recover it. Just count the game. Just see, like, look, there's a green vector there. It's come back to it. Green vector there. It's come back to it. Blue vector, come back to it. Violet vector, come back to it. These are all, in principle, aggressive points in the chart where money comes in, which is designed to set up a move. Now, looking at Bitcoin up here, we've got a lot of traders right now looking at this, and maybe holders looking at this saying, maybe Bitcoin is about to break this flag. Hopefully it does it, but the flag's been broken in principle. So structurally, we have this conviction that, yeah, it's getting ready to roll, all right? But what I want to draw your attention to is this. Check this out. So as it stands, the inflows or the asset flows of cryptocurrency, mainly Bitcoin, says that Bitcoin and crypto funds see fourth straight week of major inflows, okay? So it says here, digital investment products continue to see substantial inflows, with this week ending July 14th seeing another $137 million into products managed by CoinShares, 21 Shares, ProShares, and other major cryptocurrency fund providers. So that means that money's going into cryptocurrency. Happy days. Let's go long. That's what that is pretty much suggesting. Okay. We go into this article right here, which says good old Blackrock CEO says that Bitcoin is going to transcend the dollar. It's going to overpass it. It's going to revolutionize the way the way fiat works. Be prepared, dollar, to get slapped up left, right, and center because Bitcoin's taking over. Do you not see a luring happening right now? And don't you think like it's being sucked in? This guy, Larry, and I'm not pessimistic any way, shape, or form. I'm just trying to convey an idea to you about why you've got to say, okay, you're being positive, you're being negative, I need to make a decision, all right? Larry was the same guy that said that cryptocurrency was money laundering. Now it's the same guy that's going to move forward and push the idea for an ETF. Make your mind up, bro. Where's the credibility coming into play? You don't think BlackRock doesn't know what cryptocurrency is? You think they just stumbled across it or waited for enough people to get involved in it? These guys have got their fingers in pies that no one is prepared to eat, let alone talk about cryptocurrency. Now, the theme on crypto is everything's going up. That's what it is. So mindset is in accumulation. People are buying crypto. Cool. Trickle it out to everybody. Make them buy it. Make it buy it. Despite BlackRock, don't expect to flood a spot Bitcoin ETF soon. Experts are going on the idea that even though BlackRock is trying to push for this ETF, there's going to be a couple of headwinds that are going to come to surface. Now, once the ETF gets pushed forward, it's going to happen where we're not expecting it. And this movement in the chart by Bitcoin, in my opinion, well, in the near term, it's going to start coming down. Because you can see, we've absorbed in principle the idea of the ETF. All right, they're talking about it. Cool. Load up. There it is right there. That's that move. Now, all the guys that have come on and switched on their phones, logged into anything, and they've said, oh my God, look, Bitcoin ETF, quick, sell the house, rent out the dog, get it studied, do what you need to do, create some puppies, make some money off those puppies, and then just slap it all into Bitcoin. That's what this area is right here. This is why I'm looking at this saying, hold on a second, man. Like, if there's enough hype behind it, why ain't Bitcoin moving, bruv? Inflows are showing well that money's coming into crypto, yet Bitcoin ain't doing anything. In my opinion, I think Bitcoin needs to drop aggressively to really endorse the idea of inflow, outflow of capital. Why? Because then it will be cheap enough. Because right now, everyone's holding on to dear life in this zone, hoping that Bitcoin continues higher because the ETF, right? Now, this is not me talking down on Bitcoin. I'm trying to get you to understand, is the ETF story now done? It's done, in my opinion, until it becomes the ETF. So we need to look for an opportunity. Technically, the imbalances are present in the chart of Bitcoin. We logically assume Bitcoin's going to get ready to come down. Okay? We go into the daily time frame, and that which we are desiring is coming close to hand. Price has now come to the 50, or the 50 EMA has come to price, suggesting that there's no movement. So we're at flatline. Bitcoin seems to be holding out here. Macroeconomically speaking, we have got the idea of the S&P. Now, Bitcoin and the S&P usually have a consistent relationship. S&P goes up, Bitcoin should be going up, okay? When it's good news for Coinbase, where is it? Go to Coinbase, all right? Check this bad boy. When it's good news for Coinbase, which you've seen over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nearly 6 weeks, Coinbase has not stopped going up, okay? From a low of around, what, $87 all the way up. No, less than that. Yeah, about $56, $50, $45, $50 going all the way up to a high of around 105, 120 nearly, okay? This is all the speculation. If you look down below, I ain't seeing the money coming in. I've had 2 days or 2 weeks worth of big money coming in to Coinbase. And that was right here on the week of the 30th of June. And then, of course, volume on the 14th of July, okay? Other than that, all of these last 6-7 weeks worth of movement in Coinbase haven't really come in on strong volume, okay? This is just speculation, right? They're getting excited about the ETF. In other words, what I'm trying to say to you guys is, has the ETF just been a story to pump and squeeze out the shorts? We go into the high block itself to understand where we are. And right now, the chart is suggesting that there are 354 short liquidations and now 133 long liquidations. The chart appears to be skewed to the idea that the shorts are currently winning on Bitcoin. Go into the chart, you can see that is there. But we do have this violet vector candle right here, which is a bit of a problem. Now, this is on the daily time frame for you guys, so stick with me on this one. The principle says that at some point, Bitcoin will come back to this zone, okay? Now that it's close towards it, we are effectively waiting to see if the 50 EMA or this zone right here is going to act as an area of support. Okay? What could happen here? It's pretty simple. They could make a money run, spike lower to come back. Okay? Let's have a look at where they did that before. You see that? Look at this. Price has gone up, it's come down, consolidates on the daily, moves up, doesn't really take out the previous high with conviction, and you can see that from the way there's wicks. Price isn't finishing higher, it's just trapping up and down, probing, scalping up, taking orders, pulling it back. For them to only aggressively come back down to sharply come back up. If that logic is going to come into play again over here, then we would assume that Bitcoin will try and do that over the next few days going into the next few weeks. All right? Because there's nothing right now other than the ETF that could actually make Bitcoin move up. Because Bitcoin's reacting to news. Now, there's only one event that could actually move Bitcoin before the ETF. You go to the calendar and you go into the 26th of July, we have ourselves the good old FOMC. Now, we'll be going live for that bad boy, so make sure you tune into that. Word on the street says that the federal funds rate are going to be at 5.5%. We're going to be waiting to see if Powell does sit down and start mumbling again and talks about whether there's going to be continuous interest rate increases, given that inflation has actually come down, but not to 2%. They need that 2%, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they're looking for. All right? So, no word of the ETF just yet. Everything that you're reading about the ETF is just speculation, whether he likes it, whether she likes it, whether he's going to be the guy that pushes it forward or not, it's irrelevant. Till the ETF comes out, any news regarding it, whether it's bad or good, is pointless to try and make a decision off. Why? Because it's in the process. It gets pushed out, happy days. That's when you're going to see Bitcoin making a nice significant move to the upside. And the violet vector candle right there is setting it up for something later on. Now, I always say to you, always trade towards the vectors. You can see that they've moved away from this violet vector zone. So this violet vector tells me that market maker in principle was selling at the highest point, but buying up longs as price was going down with the intention of coming back to these stages later on. Now, if he's starting a sell program to make you sell it, right? So that he can come back to it later on and load up into it, hitting your liquidations of your shorts right here, we're going to be waiting for Bitcoin to make a bold move lower to effectively reverse, which in principle would be something like this. Time. It's the when. That's what we got to look for. Now, time is progressive in the markets, all right? They are progressively going to create a move like this. And it always starts with candlesticks at the lowest point of a range, which are aggressive, that come out. Look at this. You see this zone? Now, conventional traders of patterns of candlesticks will look at this. Without the use of a hybrid system, for example, no vectors, they would assume that this pattern structure right here is similar to an evening star pattern, morning star pattern, okay? Now, that's where you've got a long red candlestick, and then, of course, a small doji, and then a bullish engulfing pattern to surpass the previous ranges, okay? That is what we're looking for with Bitcoin. We're looking for a sharp move lower to initiate a sharp move back up. Right now, there's a trap being put, okay? Now, from now until that point, anything can happen. Don't get it twisted, all right? Anything can happen. And you've got to probe yourself and say, you know what? Am I prepared for that bad boy? We've got the touch back down towards the 50, but not fully yet. This is the 50 EMA, that blue line. The cloud is like a volatility band surrounding the 50 EMA to give us the idea of where momentum is. Where's momentum? It's pointing upwards. Funnily enough, the moving averages are fanned out. There is clear disparity away from the moving averages. They've moved away. So we now need to see a reversion back into the mean, back into where price is happy. Okay? Going into smaller time frames, we then look at Bitcoin and we say, okay, what's Bitcoin doing now? Now, this is something very important, okay? Because These areas here, look, 1 zone, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bitcoin is at a very important area of support on the short-term timeframes. You've got to see the market like this, guys. Bouncing up, down, up, down, up. These zones are reactive, okay? That's what these zones are. Who's this guy? Yes, I'll check out dollar yen for you, my bro. No worries. These zones are reactive zones. So, lots of sellers, lots of buyers. Lots of sellers, lots of buyers. And the market will bounce in between these ranges. Bitcoin's doing exactly the same thing. It's trying to find liquidity. It's trying to find the retail traders' commitment, all right? Progressively, since last week, Thursday last week, Bitcoin initiates the midweek reversal. Bang, it comes all the way down. Now we're back into the same zones right here. Once we've swept this area, which we have done now, we expect Bitcoin to try and make a reversal back up. Why? Because they've made a bold move once. They've made the bold move twice. This time, the sell-off hasn't happened as aggressively. Now, based on what we see now, one would say if Bitcoin can hold this zone, then we assume Bitcoin's going to try and come back up into the psychological low. Why? Because the psychological ranges are there as a means to help you work out what market maker's goal was at the start of the week. In other words, this is his spread. It's the first high and the first low that's formed at the start of a trading week. Some of you may be familiar with the opening range strategy, which takes whatever market it is you're trading, whether it's the first hour, the first 5 minutes, or the first 2 hours, depending on what your parameters are. It's the first high and the first low that is formed within a certain asset or a marketplace. And you will trade off that basis. If price opens at, for example, in this zone, 30,334 at the high, and then, of course, 30,063 for the start of the week, you'll say to yourself that if price can get above this zone with conviction, do a retest continuation, then I would assume that the narrative for the rest of the week is going to be higher because they've set the range. We look at the psychological area right now and we say to ourselves, hold up. They've come down to the psychological low. Broke it, reversed back into it. So what's up here? Sellers. People are happy to short from here. That means there's liquidity in there. We can justify that with this. Okay? Now, you've got high margin traders. The darker blue suggests that there are traders with higher margin, so using less leverage. That would be 25x traders. Okay? And that's all we know on this chart. We go back into the chart itself and we say, psychologically now, what is building up here? There's a pressure, all right? For the people that are looking at this in terms of support and EMA tests, they're loading up their longs in anticipation that Bitcoin's going to come up. At the same time, there are traders that are looking at shorting this zone. And we know that because there's liquidity pumps, stop runs, and then they reverse it back down again. Make your mind up, market. What's going on? Why is Bitcoin going up to only come back down? Psychologically, there are people stacking orders inside of this zone. Okay? Now, the only way that we can verify that that's going to be the case, we look at the psychological levels, which is the psychological high here and the psychological low, right? Ultimately, if price cannot surpass the psychological low, we've got ourselves a resistance. Why? Because that area seems to be an area that they like to sell aggressively away from. Look at this zone. They sold aggressively from here, okay? That was the psychological low. They sold aggressively from here, psychological low. They mark it down. Now they're going to try and bring it back up again to do the same thing. Because traders are sat there looking at this, putting up structures. I mean, there's one structure right here. W formation. Okay? The criteria says that as long as it stays within this previous peak right here at the low of 29,658, the logic says that they're getting ready to mark price up. There's a manipulation happening. This candlestick right here, in principle, in the next 38 minutes, could turn into a red vector candle. They've already started the move lower. One, where is it? Here we are. 1, 2, 3. That could be a manipulative move happening because there's something brewing down here. People are happy to buy. People are happy to sell, right? This is the logic that you've really got to help yourself try and go into the charts with. It's all good drawing your patterns and all that, man. The market ain't that naive. It ain't that stupid to think that you just need to draw a pattern and it works. Happy days, it does work sometimes. Don't get it twisted, it does work. But if you have enough people thinking like that, they're not going to be thinking about really what's going on. And then they're going to be the liquidity that's trapped inside of this zone. They're going to be the guys that went short in here. And they're going to be the liquidity that market reverses back into to eat the liquidations, to only move it back down again, to make them go short again, to finalize in this zone. They're now sat with profits in the positions. Happy days. I'm off to bed. Going to take the missus out, do something with the dog, and then they'll just bring it back up again. That's what this zone is all about. We start paying attention to when Bitcoin actually breaks the area of consolidation, which is 29,491. Breaks that zone, we're going to have a different story at hand. All of this would have been designed to build shorts by market maker. Take the whole number. What do you see? 30,000. Are they building shorts? Trying to sell Bitcoin from the highest point. Since this climatic move to the upside, we have not seen anywhere near this price point. Ultimately, I want to see Bitcoin come back and finalize this vector zone right here, because that's an imbalance in the chart. But then there's also an even bigger imbalance that they've been holding around from. So we need to make enough people believe that it's going to go lower, get them trapped to initiate a reversal back up. You're probably wondering, well, where's it going to go, Tino? No one knows. Just look at the way Bitcoin's behaving. You go to another asset. Let's go to EURUSD. Dollar dominance has been going down. Euro's going up. Clear as day. Okay? You know that there was a cycle in Euro. I spoke to you guys about it last week. Given that we had Euro with a cyclical move, W formation, rise up, retrace level 1, rise, retrace level 2. We've done the level 1. We've now done the level 2. We're now waiting, in principle, for a peak formation, a retrace, with another intention to move back up again to create a nice little M formation, drop, M formation, happy days. That's the cycle. That's what we're waiting for, because Forex is easier to do that too. But Bitcoin is heavily manipulated with the little market cap that it has. They can't move it too quickly because they know that if they've got their positions trapped inside of here, in other words, they've built shorts inside of this zone, one bout of news that could hit the market to send Bitcoin even higher, Mr. Market Maker will be obligated to fulfill that requirement. And the same guys that have been going long in here will realize a return because Bitcoin, in principle, will break up towards this zone. Market maker will have to keep selling from this point. Retail trader would have taken his money and left. Market maker will end up keeping price higher and higher and higher until he's got enough people that thought that they sold at this high point, get them to go back in again, buy at this highest point, and then he will initiate the reversal, which is why on the high block itself, you can see retail buys at the highest point. Look at these green dots. Here we go. $94 million worth of longs were opened at 31,579. Happy days to market maker. He just sold $94 million worth of shorts to the trader that went long at the highest point. Now we've got $25 million worth of shorts opened at 31,240. Okay? Happy days. We then go back into that chart again and we say, well, where else are the short traders coming in that Mr. Market Maker could reverse from? And of course, this bad boy ain't operating the way I want it to, but you get the idea. Shorts are coming in inside of these zones. So we expect reversals to happen in this area. Okay? Quickly for my guy with dollar yen. We've been tracking, in the Patreon, we've been tracking dollar yen for a very long time. Listen, I've got an update for you. From now will be effectively the last time that you can join the Patreon because we're going to be moving over to the website. I've got a whole ton of stuff that's going to be on there to really help you guys understand the hybrid system. There's going to be a lot of interactions on there. I'm going to try and get trading rooms in there as well. All the existing patrons are going to see the benefit of being a patron when they get onto the website. There is lots changing in the channel, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I'm bloody overworked. But Mike would probably challenge that. So yeah, Just make sure that if you're going to check it out, check out the Patreon. We'll talk about all these projections. I'm doing this all the time. We followed dollar yen. We even followed euro. I do daily updates to keep people aligned with what's going on in many assets across the board. Another quick one for you. S&P. In my channel, there's a video called Market Crash Theory. I advise that you go and check it out because it talks about the logic that the S&P is preparing to make a despicable move to the downside. And it's on a logic regarding the 2007-2008 subprime mortgage crisis. Isn't it funny that now it's all bullish? No one is talking about recession. No one is talking about the fact that we are at high interest rates. The cost of business is going to hit. And the first person it's going to hit is, of course, Bank of America. Why? Because Bank of America have got earnings coming out, which will be today. Not saying the time, but they're going to be released today. In 2 minutes, the markets will open. All right? Maybe on the bell. Bank of America are going to declare earnings. We go into Bank of America's earnings. So far, so good. We know that banks have experienced stress tests, projections for 2024, minus 2% on the earnings per share ratio. Okay? The debt of Bank of America is 101%. Interest rates at 5.5%. How expensive is it now to borrow money? You think these banks are going to... Like, look, it's going sort of moving up, but where's the volume? It doesn't make sense. Take it with a pinch of salt, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we got Tesla earnings on Wednesday. That's going to move markets, most definitely move markets. We quickly go over to Tesla right now. I'll take a look at Tesla for you. This bad boy. Look at that. Coming back into vector candles all day, every day. We got more vector candles. I believe Tesla will probably still pump right here. Vector zones, vector zones. Still got room for it. Okay? It's not stopped. It's gone and cleared all gaps. Nice little W formation. Happy days. We've got a little gap right there on Tesla. And the market is about to open very, very shortly. And the current price action, yeah, it's not really gapped up at all in today's markets, pre-markets. No, it's actually going to gap down ever so slightly right there. So that's where we are with Tesla. That'll be interesting to see how they do. Quickly going over into dollar yen for my guy for a second. Dollar yen, the logic with dollar yen is this. Look, it's getting very tricky, all right? It's all about dollar dominance. So when you're trading dollar yen, the two charts that I have up when I trade dollar yen is dollar yen and gold. Now, gold and dollar yen, they don't, it's not an indirect positive relationship as such, but when the value, well, it is, but when the value of the dollar is going up, gold logically is coming down. Remember when I've said that the Japanese yen needs to come down. Look, the yen has to come down. It's too much, all right? That's not, yes, that is my ticker. Where's my ticker for yen? Bloody hell, Tino. Where is my ticker for yen? I think it's down here. Here we go. Yeah, the yen is too much right now. It's hurting the yen, all right? Now, if yen keeps on staying appreciated, that means they're losing money on trade. Doesn't cost them. So we need to see the yen go down, which means that we want to see the dollar going up. And dollar is basing. It's holding out. So when you're trading dollar yen, you need to be paying attention to GBP yen, okay? Which is looking like it's creating a cyclical formation that I've done for the patrons at the channel. We already had this all set up. Getting ready to make some moves, okay? Quickly going into Bitcoin. What time is it? Markets have now opened. So let's dive into what Bitcoin is getting up to right now. Quickly going into EXO charts for a second. For some reason, my bookmap is not working. So we'll have to not worry about that bad boy. Pull up EXO charts and have a look at what we've got in front of us. So some of you might think, what the... Anyways, you need to understand something here. So in front of you, we have got Bitcoin's order flow right here. Now, you can't physically, you cannot keep track of the money that's coming in and out and make sense of it, okay? When you use order flow, you have to think of a range. Right now, Bitcoin is trading in a range which is deemed as the value area low. That means value before was all the way up here. And we understand that to be at the point of control and where you see this grayed out area, okay? Right now, it's in this dark area, okay, which is where there's only a few contracts coming into play. At the low of 29,659, that's where interest started to come in to mark price up. But look at the imbalance here. There's just little contracts. So it's like, it's saying, yeah, there's some people here that are happy to pay, but we know that there's more people all the way up here. Well, let's make sure all these guys down here are satisfied with everything, and then we'll look to start marking price up from that point, okay? So the logic says that whilst they spend a bit of time in this area, right, on Bitcoin, we would assume that this zone right here is an area of support, because that's what the value area high and the value area low is. It's deemed as areas of support and resistance, okay? So we've got to pay attention to this and say, right, what's Bitcoin's range been like, right? Well, the range for the day has been at 29,828 going into 29,659. That's this so far the scope of Bitcoin, right? Value, the point of control at 29,980. Right? 29,998. That's where what appears to be most of the contracts have transacted at that point, suggesting that's where players are selling from. So right now, that's an area of resistance. Right now, the VWAP is an area of resistance, which sits at the 29,937. So what am I thinking right now? In my brain, I'm thinking, well, I'm at the lowest point in the range so far. How do I know that? Because you can see Bitcoin hasn't broken down from this point right here at 29,659. Bring this bad boy back up. I'll then say to myself, well, what do I need to see happening here to assume that Bitcoin could continue lower? Well, they've already gone down to this point and bounced away from it because there's nothing much happening, right? Where's the next bout in the chart that's going to tell me that I'm going to get a reaction? Well, that would be at this point right now at 29,768. The next point will be at 29,800. What happens at 29,800 is pretty much going to dictate whether Bitcoin can go on and start going back into an area of value, because right now resistance is the VWAP at 29,937. If they can bring Bitcoin back up from this point to move up, you want to start seeing green and blue vector candles on the smaller time frames, okay? You want to start seeing Bitcoin merging back up because here you go, look, you've got deviation away from the moving averages, right? Look at it. So there's been volatility. It's down. So keep going down, Bitcoin. Why have you stopped? Something's going to change because the momentum hasn't continued. Look at it. Look at these candlesticks right here on the 5-minute time frame, right? Drop, 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 drop. Continued drop, pumps up, drops, it goes, it goes, it goes. We're starting to slow down, and for some reason we see 3 red vector candles right here, which aren't really closing lower. Hold on a second, my brother. We got divergences. Let's check it out. Check this out. Let's go Bitcoin on its main chart. Pull this bad boy. What have we got going on here? Look below. You can see, let me bring this up. Can you see this bad boy? You see this? This is Delta, all right? Delta suggests that at the lowest point where people sell at, when you see high readings, which are negative, it's telling the people or participants that there's lots of selling pressure. What do? You sell. That's what that says. It also happens to be the point in the chart that price usually reverses from, okay? So if I expand this out again, look at the green deltas up here. Up here in this move to the upside, green delta, look, 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 here we go. Look at all these green deltas. Yeah, baby, start buying Bitcoin. That's what that says, right? Okay then, cool. Start buying it up. Look at these beautiful contracts, smacking it like, yes, Bitcoin, go up, go up. Happy days. I'm buying Bitcoin. It's pumping to 100K from this point. Tell my missus I'm leaving her. I'm going to go sit on a yacht with Crypto. Happy days. The deltas come in, man. What does Delta say? Well, Delta says that when it's green and it's rising, it means that traders are buying. Now's the time to buy. You ain't going to be on no yacht with Crypto, bruv. You're going to be on an inflatable that ain't going to last 5 minutes. it comes down. The trap was set. That's how we use the delta. Because Google it, delta suggests the net buys and sells. What is there more of? But if you look at it, every time there's more delta, look at the green down below. A collection of green delta is telling you people are buying, perfect time to sell. It reverses. It doesn't reverse because there's candlesticks or there's a W or a pattern or something. It's because the pressure is always going to be designed to manipulate. That's what delta is. It's a manipulation of the commitment of traders. Just go back. Look at this. Down at the lows. 500 on the delta. Negative 476. Negative 500 on the delta. It's pretty strong selling there. Yes, it is. Make sure you sell on negative delta. Shoots up. Bruv, you got me all messed up right now, man. What does delta mean? That's how I translate delta. Now we look at Bitcoin in the chart right now and we say to ourselves, well, what the hell are you doing, Tino? Here we are. We look at Bitcoin and we then say, right, what's been going on inside of this area right here? We've got a negative delta reading of 1,400. The last time there was a negative delta reading was 1,100. Before that, there was minus 656. Notice how the delta is increasing, suggesting a climatic point in the chart. That could lead to the idea that we're going to get ready to see a little bit of a reversal from this point. What do we need to see? We need to see the delta increasing positively at the lowest point because no one buys at the lowest point. They buy at the highest point because that's where the delta traps the retail trader to buy. He's in fear of buying at the highest point, at the lowest point, because you're not programmed to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that makes sense to you, man. I'm chewing your ear off quite evidently. Bitcoin has now opened up in the 5-minute chart right here. We got deviation away from the moving average we expect. I'm late. A reversal back up. It should happen, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure that this is not financial advice. It's just common sense on the charts, okay? Do your own research. Think, what does the market maker want me to think? In other words, what does he want the retail trader to think? Is now the time to sell? Do the math. Mad love and respect, guys. Peace.